From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Waker's pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance of West resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Deanus Nightly, never free from the debt. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in disguise. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the struggle. Turn the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. To reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan out as crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that the was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the largest to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, this is, and you are Under the Groove. This is Under the Groove podcast, y'all. Let's get it in. Fortunate to be here. I'm very fortunate to be here, and I would like to think that the rest of you feel or think the same way. Have to take advantage of these opportunities that we are granted or given, man, anytime or every time we 10 toes down. All right. Again, better to be here than in there or down there. You know what I mean? Real spit. All right. I see you at TMB. Hold that thought, man. And I'm going to address that because that's been in my mind anyway, because we get on Under the Groove podcast, when we're touching bases with the people, there are individuals who come in who are not melanated, you know. I want to address that. I've been meaning to address that just so they know where I stand in terms of the people, you know what I mean? Or how we should view those who view what we view, who go through what we go through, who associate themselves with us, man. I think that means a lot. And I've been meaning to break that down, you know, so that individuals who are, you know, white people, you know, are not melanated, man, let them know, man, where I stand. And I'm pretty sure where most of us stand. You know, we're about, you know, we are about our blackness. But, you know, I think also that being that we are the type of people that we have a love in us that's infinite, man. It's all encompassing, you know, truth to power. It's all encompassing, man. For a lot of us, it doesn't matter what hue you are, if they're, you know, if you are not melanated, man. We trip on this, man. This is what I think we trip on as a people. We trip on how you get down with us, you know, not just, you know, how you treat us, but how you love us, how you respect us, you know, how you see our issue, our plights. Do you associate that with yourself? You know what I mean? That's how we deal with that, man. So again, man, yeah, just hold that thought, because I think that is significant. That's worthwhile speaking about, putting out there for the people, you know. So I don't want it to be, for me, I don't want it to be no misunderstandings on how I see the world or the people who are in it, you know. Yeah, I'm a black man. All right. I can't deny that. I wouldn't deny it if I wanted to, couldn't deny it if I tried. You know what I mean? Shit, it speaks for itself. But excuse me, there is a mindset that comes with, you know, our blackness that a lot of us, you know, we wear on our sleeves, man. That being said, man, trust and know, you know, we're about the people first and foremost, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we show love and respect. We embrace others, man. It's just, you know, it's how we are. You know, it's just how we are. I could speak. I knew this dude named he was out of Pasadena Raymonds, Zerby. I think his name was Z Dog, man, white boy, you know, white guy, right? And this way back in YA, solid as fuck. Excuse my language. Today I'm gonna try not to use any profanity, man, because I think YouTube be on my stuff about that. But anyway, this brother, you know, he's a white guy, but you know, solid as they come, man. I've met some, I've known them, you know, and I've treated them the same way I would treat my brothers, you know. But with that treatment had to be an understanding, a mutual understanding about how to get down, go, you know. Hey man, always be respectful, you know, always be the individual, you know what I'm saying, that you are with me around your own people first and foremost, you know. Don't flip the script, you know, be who you are, you know what I mean. I've been that type of person my whole life. But let me get in these comments, TMB, because like I said, man, I think that's relevant. I really do. I think it's relevant, man. It takes all kinds, you know, it takes all kinds, you know, to fight these wars, these battles that we live through or that we go through as people. And I'm not talking about just black people, you know what I mean? We have friends, you know what I mean? And family is not always, you know, the color of your skin, you know what I mean? Because we got some, you know, same skin, but they ain't really our kin, you know what I mean? So that makes sense to me. All right. Real spit, man. So yeah, hold your thought, man. And first and foremost, I appreciate you coming in and asking that question. We had a white brother in here, man. Maybe I ain't seen him in 2 weeks, man. And you know, I think about this type of stuff, man. And I'm in me, man, in my mind, in my soul. I'm like, my thoughts are, I really regret if he felt some kind of way, you know what I mean? Because that's not how I'm coming off. You know, that's not, I hope he didn't perceive it as though I'm against, you know, whites who have an affinity, a love, you know, not just for our culture, man, but for the people, and they serious about it, you know what I mean? And you could tell, you know, and think about us, man, we got, you know, we have these frequencies, man, you know, we have these frequencies. And I don't just say, you know, I'm not going to just make that a blanket statement about black people. I think there's a certain frequency in all people, you know, but that vibe with us, man, we hone in on that type of stuff. That being said, man, hey, man, if you a brother and you relating to this blackness, man, you know, you're all right with me. You know, you all right with me. Now, again, there are some things I would like to keep in perspective. You know what I mean? There are a lot of, well, let me put it to you like this. I still, even as a black man, and I'm wanting to be, you know, clear in my get down and how I represent me, you know, how I represent whatever, you know, I perceive the cause to be. I still have hangups. And I say this all the time, man. I work on me every day because I know I still have some biases, you know what I mean? And I might not be aware of how they come out or how they represented. Someone else might catch it. You know, my wife catch it all the time. She say, hey, you know, I was, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. But I work on me, man. And I say that to say, man, if there are biases that exist within my framework, my character, I make an attempt every day, man, to adapt and adjust, correct, you know, my behavior, you know, the way I think, you know, what goes through my soul, you know. So there that is, all right. That needs to be said. And let's move on. But when everybody come in, TMB, yeah, I'm gonna bring that issue up because I think, you know, that's worth discussing. All right. Anyway, I sent the first one out today to the RGC, which is the Royal Group Congregation, and that says, Grand Rising people, may today have been for each of you a pleasant, positive, and productive day. You know, and that's from the soul. You know, I mean that. And B1 equals black first. All right. Now, TMB, he comes in. He said, Babu from 512. All right. He said, hey, Groove, how do you feel about white Hoovers? Okay. Let me tell you like this, man. someone was trying to create this issue with the homeboy Milk. Milk is a white guy, all right? Milk is a white boy, you know what I mean? And when I say white boy, I don't mean it in a derogatory sense. You know, that's how we get down. Y'all know that. But Milk is a white boy. And some dudes from within the collective, so to speak, had an issue. And I think the issue was more or more generated. It was generated because of jealousy or envy, you know, whatever, you know what I mean? But this guy grew up around nothing but black people. And we have to we have to understand that when people, you know, you could put someone as a child in another demographic, right? A black child in another demographic with, let's say, white people. How's that black child gonna grow up? Might know growing up, okay, I'm black, I'm different from them, but I understand this, you know, to the point where this is a part of me. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is, man. That happens like that. So I'm, you know, long story short, man, Milk is the homeboy, you know, straight up. You know, Milk don't need me to defend him. He does it well. All right. He defends himself very well. However, I saw it as a slight. I saw that approach to Milk as, you know, disrespect, man, to somebody, man. Like I said, probably because, or mainly because, there was a jealousy or an envy attached to the hatred for Milk. Not because he was a white boy, but because Milk doing this thing, you know? So, you know, I thought that was wrong. You know, the homeboy's accepting, then that's a homie. That's a homie until proven otherwise. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that would apply to you, anybody else as well. Look, there are white boys, Mexicans, in every black gang, dang near, you know, and ask them how they feel about their homeboy. They're gonna tell you the truth. That's the homeboy. You know, this is an individual who relates, you know, who has experiences, who deals with black people, you know, and shit, you know, let's be straight up. Some of them might even have a black woman, you know. And for me, again, now when I talk about my biases, that may be one, but that's something I work on. You know what I mean? I have to get to bed. Then these are people, you know, and that black woman might, hey man, hey, I might understand and accept something about him y'all don't see. So who am I to be, hey, what you doing? You know, adapt and adjust, man. Learn to accept some things in life that are just as they are, you know what I mean? Or, you know, we like to say it is what it is, you know. But that is, man, you know, I have no issue with that, you know. But you going to say, let me read your get down though, man. I'll get to it. Queen Nzinga says, hey, to the kings and queens and the Royal Group congregation. Feels good to be here, be one. All right. Good to see you up in here, Queen. Peace and blessings. So TMB, man, Babu 512 says, I'm a white guy who grew up in the set in Houston from Five Deuce, went through police brutality, behind the set and everything. I live in Washington now. It's just different perspectives. Just wanted a point of view. All right. Appreciate that. You know, and like I said, man, I have no issue with it. I'm of the mind that anytime another ethnicity surrounds him or herself around black folk, you know, I think that there's an affinity there, not just for the culture, but for the people. You know what I mean? So I accept that. You know, I support that. You know, that is, man. And hopefully that answered your question, bro. All right. And again, when the homies, and I don't care where they from, you could be from Hoover, you could be from East Coast, Raymond's, Bloods, whatever. Mostly all our sets, black gangs, have an individual who's not black. And guess what? They love him. They'll get down with him and for him like they would one of their own. You know what I mean? That's just what it is, man. You know? That's just what it is. All right. So yeah. Hey, part of the family. You know, that old movie, Look Who's Coming to Dinner. You know, you all in, man. And again, the loved ones down there, you know, they know you, grew up with you, they've been through things, have experiences with you. And I have to take into account that, hey, man, they know what it is and they accept you for you, man. So there that is. All right. Enough said. And again, that young brother that used to come in here, Justin Sade, and he kind of felt the same way. And I was trying to impart to him, like, hey, man, I'm not tripping that. I'm really not. And I think he also was from Hoover, you know. And I think as well, I don't know, man. I didn't want him to think that I was tripping about nothing, you know, especially him being on this get down, you know, and interacting, you know, because he was comfortable with that. You know, we are a part of his life experience, man. Can't take that from nobody, man. I wouldn't attempt to. All right. And I wish the brother would come back in, man, just so I can impart to him where I stand on stuff, just in case there's a misunderstanding, you know. So, boom, there that is, man. Queen Nzinga said there are good people in every color. Sometimes others are better towards us than our own. Truth to power. Truth to power. So I said a minute ago, it takes all kinds. It do. You know, it takes all kinds. I'm telling you, every time I think or this issue comes up, excuse me, about, you know, white guy interacting and relating wholeheartedly, fully, you know, part of his makeup and character with black people, I think about this movie, The Spook That Sat by the Door. The white guy, man, he pushing and he meant it all through the movie. He wasn't no turncoat, he wasn't no agent, no plant, no mole. The dude meant it. You know, he said, hey, man, I was born black, I live black, I'm a die probably because I'm black, because some cracker who knows I'm black better than you, ninja, is probably gonna put a bullet in the back of my head. I ain't never forgot that line. I don't know why I remember it, but I know one thing, it stuck with me and I respected that, you know. So again, man, welcome, bro. Can't put it no clearer than that. All right, Raymond Skull 102, man. Peace and blessings to you and yours. May today have been everything you set out for it to be, man, for you and yours. Peace and blessings also to the Rays, man, from Pasadena to LA to Inglewood. All right. Peace and blessings, love and respect to the utmost. All right, Raymond, man. You're on Roscoe. Say, man, greetings, bub. Hope everything is great with you and the family. Peace and blessings to the kings and queens of the Royal Group congregation. All right. And there you are. Here you are, man. Here we go. He says, shout out to Milt. He comports himself real well. We had a lot of Tongans from our section, and they're solid homeboys. It is what it is. And truth to power in that. I don't know if you know Raymond Scott. I used to live in Inglewood, man. I get out of go to juvenile hall, get out of camp, man. 1980. Mom's living in Inglewood, 112 Yukon and Lamoli. All right. Check me in the Morningside High, man. Me and my brother, man. I'm like, oh, hell. Anyway, man, nothing but Samoans around there, man. You know, to go hang out with some, man. We used to, you know what I'm saying? This when I first got up on putting pigs in the pits and covering them with banana leaves and shit, right? Real spit, man. So I know for a fact what you're saying is a fact. You know, Tongans are, you know, a part of this get down, man, a part of our culture, man. More than a lot of us want to acknowledge or will admit, you know. So I appreciate you coming in here, man, and dropping that, man. Dropping that knowledge, man. You know, that truth, you know. And this is all we need, man. Let's just be 100. I think that's one of the things we have a problem with as a people. You know, we ain't got to the point where we don't know how to keep it 100 with others. So we done lost or forgot, you know, how to keep it real with ourselves. You know. We to the point now where we'll lie to ourselves and we'll bullshit ourselves, man. That's sad, you know, but this is what it's come to. Appreciate you dropping that. You going to say, man, I've noticed how diverse the gang scene has become in Los Angeles, and it's a relationship and love which transcends race and the game. For real, for real. And thank you for saying it like that. I said it how I said it, and I'm willing to say, man, how you said it is how I meant it. All right. So appreciate you for that, bro. Yeah. And there you go, TMB. You know, and that's our brother, you know, Raymond Skull. All right. And he's saying that, you know. Now, don't get it twisted. We might have some brothers and sisters might not think how we think or feel how we feel. You know, the understanding aspect of it hasn't, you know, grown. It hasn't matured, you know, to understand how people, when they're real and genuine, truly interact with other people who they consider to be real and genuine. So, you know, boom, there that is. Yeah, Raymond, man, appreciate you for that, Roscoe. We'll talk. Lisa Moore, how's her sister? Lisa Moore says, Grand Rising, big brother, blessings to you and the family. Peace, blessings, and love to the kings and queens. In the chat, be one black first. You going to say Grand Rising? Oh, it's the same thing. That's all right. You know, we do that often. Yeah, man, that's what it is. I appreciate you coming in here with that, TMB, straight up, man. You know, again, I had been contemplating speaking about this, you know, because I know we may have others from different demographics who come in here and they'll hear the conversation, be like, oh man, they on this race shit, you know. That's not necessarily true, you know. We're speaking about getting ours together, you know, and sometimes it may take others, you know, in some form of fashion to assist us with that, or you not even assist us with it, but understanding to be down with it. You know what I mean? So, hey man, that's what it is. That's what it is. And again, I extend to you, man, welcome. You know, you here. Now what? You know, and hope you remain. Have you liked? Have you shared? You commented? Appreciate that. Have you subscribed to Under the Groove Podcast? If not, man, let me ask you to do that for us. All right. Please like, share, comment, follow, and subscribe to Under the Groove Podcast, man. This is where it at, man. This is where we do what we do. All right. All right, B60M, I see you. Greetings and salutations to you, Bub, and the RGCB1. Yeah, man, glad to see you up in here. I've been reading on this, on the Get Out you sent me, man. I've been on it, you know, sent it to my wife. We on it. So, yeah, we're going to, yeah. And I'm going to give you a call. I meant to be slipping my, I'll be busy, but I think you're on Florida time. That's a 3-hour difference, man. I'll try to make it a point to, if my word, if I do not reach out to you tonight, I will tomorrow. That's my word. All right. And let us chop it up, man, like brothers supposed to. All right. So I appreciate you seeing you up in here, bro. Appreciate you being here as always. Brothers like you, I've just sat up this morning actually and thought about what you impart to the group, to the RGC, man, the gems and jewels you're dropping, and how brothers are receptive, and hopefully sisters as well. Excuse me, to what you're putting into the chat, man. We think, my wife and I, that is beneficial. It's positive. It creates, or it can give individuals, you know, a sense of a mindset towards being productive, you know, doing something that benefits them, that takes care of them, you know. So you in this Get Down, man, it means something, man. You're not here by mistake, you know. So we appreciate your presence, bro, and your knowledge, you know, and your knowledge. Real shit. Yep. There we go. Yeah, man, let's make this thing happen today, man. I've been in the news today, man, and I'll tell you, my day, excuse me, my day is always, at some point in the day, I'm always in the news. I'm trying to, you know, not just get a feel or hang of it, but I want to understand what's really going on politically, try to figure out my own, try to work out my own description of mindset, you know, ideology, philosophy in terms of what's going on in the world and how it affects us, you know. So I'm always in the news. They sent out this warning today, you know, warning was a possible terrorist attacks in California, you know, sleeper cells, blah, blah, blah. So when I go and I check it out, they're talking about a ship possibly being off the coast of California, laced and armed with drones that they'll use to shoot into certain cities in California. And I got things to say, what, there are all kind of cities up and down the coast of California, in the state of California, from San Diego on the way up to Frisco, and everything in between. But I'm looking at it and I'm trying to discern, read between the lines, what's really going on. And immediately I had a thought. Immediately I said, oh, this is a false flag. That's what came to my mind first and foremost, man. These people are up to something, up to no good. And they're up to no good so that they can create a scenario, an incident that would, if it goes the way they plan it, that would have the people who, for the most part, are against what's going on in Iran in terms of the United States being involved or doing Israel's bidding, right? So, let Trump and them tell it. The polls say they, the majority of American citizens, they and anybody with some sense know that that's a dang lie. All right. But take into account, which is what I did, that the state of California is a blue state. So for the most part, anything Trump do, people in California like, man, F Trump. Trump full of, he full of it. So the mine was, okay, they need to do something to get Californians on board with this get down. How do they go about doing that? False narratives are not enough for the most part. The propaganda machine, it only can do so much. Now you need something behind them words. You need an action, you know what I mean? And I said, yeah, that's a false flag. They planning something. They're going to orchestrate something so that they can get the people in California upset with the so-called terrorists in Iran or whatever sleeper cells may exist here. You got Iranians up and down California. Iranians everywhere, man. I looked at the news also, man. They starting to gaffle them up. Guess who's going to do that work? Border Patrol, ICE, DHS. So yeah, they're creating this situation, man. I think, to get citizens, especially in California, on board with their agenda, because I think there's a resistance, a defiance that Californians have in terms of Trump and what they're doing, this illegal war, that they're involved in for the sake of Israel. Californians ain't feeling that. So I'm thinking, yeah, it's a false flag, throw a rock, hide your hand, Initially though, I'm thinking they were going into this thing like, okay, they didn't found sleeper cells, on dry ground, boots on the ground that are orchestrating. They got caught trying to plan something, right? It wasn't even that. They're talking about some chatter about a ship being off the coast of California that's laden with drones that are probably or possibly going to shoot drones into California. And I'm like, man, if that ain't no bull crap, man, I don't know what bull crap is. And I say that because I'm pretty sure everything that this dude didn't orchestrate or initiate or started 11 days ago, these people, man, know what, from the West Coast to the East Coast and all spaces and spots in between, have prepared and thought about all this. You know what I'm saying? California Coast Guard, man, the Coast Guard, they ain't no ship just gonna be sitting off, the coast of California in the water, and they ain't investigated this shit. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, man, we better watch the people. We better watch those who run everything, man, before we allow them to try to convince us to watch somebody who are thousands and thousands of miles away, And if you got an issue with anybody here in the state of California, Iranian, then no doubt, man, they are violating constitutional rights left and right now. So, I just thought it was a bunch of cap. And that's how I still think it to be. I think it's a bunch of cap. Straight up. So there that is. Yeah, man. I ran across that today and I was like, okay, man, here we go. They fooled us on 9/11. And they use that. I allege that they did that so that they could take away certain constitutional rights, certain rights, so that they can, have an excuse to put cameras up everywhere and herald in this age that we see now, where facial recognition cameras are everywhere. They can, anytime you go through an intersection, you've been recorded. You know what I mean? Your license plate, everything, and those violations of the Constitution. But they bypass that by using, 9/11 as the reason for national security, or violating our constitutional rights. It's all a scheme and a scam to me, man. I really trust that it is. I really do. Yeah, man, that is shit. Raymond Cole said, Bub, I think the nature of our content being politicized isn't getting a real push in the algorithm. I believe my last video was solid. Again, homie, and just know this, Roscoe, and I'm not trying to, be negative about your content nor mine, It's not what the algorithm is designed to get a hold of or to push, and I think that being that the reason, it's all the more reason for us to push harder to, hey man, keep pushing the content. Keep pushing the content. Just keep pushing the content. That's what I've been doing, especially on the new channel. Cause I'm like, dang, I thought that was some good content, same sentiment, right? Man, I might 15, views, 10 views. I'm like, dang, man, But when I talked about something like, for instance, I give you an example. I talked about female bodybuilders and the abuse or the illegal use of steroids, which is the drug, right? That thing getting hits like it ain't nothing, because you got to look at what's in the algorithm. Drugs is in the algorithm. You know what I mean? The abuse of them, and things like this in certain stages or certain instances of mental health. And that would be, to me, also not just an issue of addiction, but a mental health issue also, if it's not negative, if it's not shining the light on individuals who are going against the natural grain or way of things, man, we got a hard time, man, getting in the algorithm. We have to keep fighting, I've said it before, man. If we want to change the internet, we got to fight, man. We're gonna have to continue to fight, man, to do that. And a lot of these guys, man, it's no wonder they do what they do. They have a greater understanding about the internet and the algorithm that's associated with it. This is why they do what they do. They know where the hits are, where or how the algorithm is coded. So they stick to that. They don't mind pushing that, man. Just so that they can be in. To them, it's a grift. It's a hustle. They continue to push this poison. When you're talking about your content or the content similar to yours, man, that's a whole different baby. And in fact, it's the one that we're gonna have to raise. We're gonna have to nurture it, and bring it to the point where it can begin to grow. That's our work, bro. I'm all in. I'm all in. I refuse to succumb or fall to that level to where my content is talking about what ails us in a negative way. You know what I mean? I don't want to be pushing how brothers are at each other, the rumors, the rumor mongering, rumorville, and how, I don't, hey man, more power to those who do that. They do it because, hey, they tell you in a minute it's a bag. You care less. They care more about the bag, So hey, man, have at it. But I refuse to be a part of that. Get down. Again, man. Also, Raymond, man, how we were a part of that stuff, man. There's nowhere in the world I'm gonna go back to that, or I'm gonna glorify it. And I say glorifying it because they continue to push it and put it out there. You're propping it up. You're putting it on a pedestal. And I refuse to be a party to that, bro. Been there and done that. And I understand it, I understand the damage, that I brought to the table, what I was a part of that got this stuff the way it is today. These guys are just making sure that it doesn't leave, Yeah, so we're fighting an uphill battle, bro. And I ain't got to tell you, you're a warrior. You know, you understand the causes, man, that you fight for. Is this one worthy enough for you to keep going? You know, that's a call you're going to have to make. You know, I'm in. I don't, hey, shit. I know what it is. I've been doing this for 2 years. You know, when I started, and I started again, you know, it had a game hint to it. You know what I mean? I was talking about the history of the set. Man, every video was getting 2,000-3,000. You know what I mean? And soon as I decided that, nah, man, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? Because really the intent when I came into it, the goal wasn't to push that anyway. It was a springboard. It was a springboard to begin to push content that's going to help us and not hurt us, you know? So once I decided to change that, it's been rough selling, you know? I could drop a video on Under the Groove, just a regular video, and it might get 500 views, you know? And it's all positive. There's no reference in terms of, you know, getting individuals on, man, hey, man, you started game banging at what age, man? And as a result, how did that work out for you? Ain't no more of that, right? Shoot. Them videos now, man, like I said, they might get 500. I can bring sisters who are trying to empower the community, brothers and other sisters, and them videos might get 200-300, you know, straight positivity. This is the fight we in. This is the fight I'm in, you know, and I'm, you know, I've accepted this fight, man. I'm down with this. You know, I'm gonna fight as hard in this as I did when I was in the streets, being a damn fool, being ignorant of what I was doing. I'm wide awake now, and I know exactly what I'm doing, homie. So, you know, I can only advise, homie, that, you know, you focus on the focus, bro. You know, because this fight, that what you in, that space you in, the space I'm in, we ain't gonna get no love. Just like black folk, they ain't gonna give us nothing. We're gonna have to take it. We have to work for it. It's the only way we gonna get it, bro. All right. I know you all in though. Ain't no doubt about that. So let me get to the comments, because you probably said exactly everything I just said. Yeah, man. You do go on to say, man, it seems as if the Constitution, and we're talking about what I was talking about a few minutes ago. The Constitution, it seems as if the Constitution only guarantees protection to those who are in power. Exactly. Not the actual citizen of this nation. You're going to say, well, I'll finish this one, but to your point, a lot of us are starting to see that in that light. The Constitution don't serve us if we don't have billions and billions and billions of dollars, you know, because, you know, when you got that type of money, then you can use it to attain or acquire power. Where you take this money, you take that type of money to the halls of power, to those who are in the building, and you say, hey, this is what I got for this. You know, oh yeah, the Constitution might say that for them, but this is us. We got, hey, you know, they don't got this kind of money. You know, they can't fight it if we decide that we want to do it this way. Think about it, guy, you know, and this is what they do. So the Constitution, you're correct. I think I agree with it, only serves those who have money, because really it's those who have money in the first place who wrote the Constitution. All right, for real. Who write these laws that we abide by? You know, the Constitution is not for the regular citizen. And I don't care what color you are, what ethnicity you come from, or demographic. The Constitution, the laws of these lands, does not represent or reflect us. And again, I'm not just talking about black people. Y'all ain't got no money. Hey, man. And when I'm talking about, man, you could be, you know, here's a reality, man, in terms of money. You can have a few million, don't mean squat. You can have a few hundreds of millions. Don't mean squat, man. Don't mean squat to them. If you're not in the tens to the hundreds of billions, Constitution don't really apply to you, you know. And you know, or you do, if we think it do, let's see. Let's see. Let's see if it, you know, whatever issue, you know, and especially if it's extreme or serious, how far it goes. You know, it's only, you know, considerate or used to us when it's so blatant police brutality, you know, or a violation of constitutional rights that are just so blatant that's been recorded. You know what I mean? Otherwise, man, it don't apply to us, man. We got to record this stuff, man, for it to work for us. And it's only gonna go so far in that respect, you know. So I tell my wife all the time, hey man, if something go on, I need you to keep your composure and just record, please. You know, just record. You know, so if I should pass away as a result of whatever the violation constitutionally or it is, whatever, you guys will be all right. Get them. So yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly that the Constitution does not reflect the protection of the real citizen, us, the people. Black, white, red, brown, yellow. All right. All right, you're going on to say, man, your art of discourse be dropping real gems, and I'd be surprised by your views too. I'm going to keep it coming. I'm not giving up. I just see it for what it is, and that's part of this process. We have to be able to hone in on what it really is. You know what I mean? And that should be our inspiration. You know, that should be your inspiration. That should be what motivates you. You know what I mean? To, you know, say, hey, man, okay, this is a fight I'm down with, you know, because that's how I, you know, I see it or how I deal with it. You know, I tell you, man, I talked about how, for instance, on the art of political discourse, I talked about how those brothers and sisters of ours who are in politics, how they really play the game, how they don't really consider us, how they don't fight for us, but they'll fight for the AIPAC, you know. I talked about that, you know, and wow, that thing damn near got 1,000 views. And I think only because I was on their necks, right? So again, it's the algorithm, you know, the vitriol, the anger, you know, the supposed hate, you know, the energy that's negative, you know, they go, that's what the algorithm looks for, man. It's sad, but it's true. And like you, man, I ain't giving up. I ain't giving up. All right, Anthony, I see you, loved one. Peace and blessings, bro. Love and unity, no doubt. Raymond, man, you say, yeah, glorifying that gang life isn't a direction I'm headed in. I understand the dangers in that and the exploitation as well. That life was my addiction. I loved it, but I'm grown. It's about my family, right? We was in it and we're thinking we were really doing something, man. We was the shit. And it wasn't until I began to grow, speaking for me, that I began to see that, oh, dude, this is self-defeating, man. This is, you know, this is like detrimental to everybody, you know, just detrimental to everybody. We glorified that stuff, man. We made that stuff like it was everything. And that's what we see today. A lot of our young brothers and sisters, they think it's everything. Well, they do up until that point. You know, it wasn't like that back in our day. I can say that TTN like that at this level especially didn't exist. Not saying it didn't exist, but at this level, it didn't exist. We see it now, you know, and it's so out there. It's so, they're so brash and brazen with it. They don't care, you know. But yeah, man. We carried on like it was no big thing, man. And this is why we see what we see, you know. This is why we see these young cats claiming to be, you know, everything that, you know, gang banging is, including telling. You know, it's all wrong, bro. And there ain't nothing righteous about it. Ain't nothing positive about it. Family first, y'all. You're going to say, man, I read in the presidential almanac that even senators and politicians in Congress are exempt from the law as long as they are actively in Congress or the Senate. Imagine that. Yeah, that's what they the diplomatic immunity. You know, remember, uh, Vice President Cheney had shot the dude with the, out hunting, right? And shot some guy with his gun, while they out hunting. And oh, it's an accident. Come on, man. Cheney's number had come up and say, this one yours, you got to take care of that. Luckily the guy didn't, pass away or whatnot, but that's what he did do, But there was no criminal charges or nothing, none. And we're going to see the same thing with Trump and all these other politicians who have power, who have, buku money. They're going to get away with these crimes, man, that they're committing, that they're allegedly committing. The guy, the formerly known Prince Andrew over in the UK got arrested about 2-3 weeks ago, and he got released. You ain't heard nothing else about it. Now, this guy's documented, abusing, minors, SAing minors, along with Epstein. He's free, so the law don't apply to them. They have what is called, I think, diplomatic immunity. You have other dignitaries who can come over to this country and in one of us, hit and run or, and will not have to face any criminal charges. So if it applied to them, dignitaries from other countries over here, yeah, like you said, man, it applies to them here. Long as they're in Congress, long as they're in politics, they get away with whatever. Imagine that. Imagine that. Being a thorn in one of those guys' side where you're about to, cancel his whole career and he see it coming. And his only thought is to get rid of me, right? And he does it and claims whatever. He ain't got to claim nothing, basically, for real. And we'll get away with it. Self-defense, Oh, I felt that, and won't see a day in jail. That's the reality, man. That's the reality. Yeah, you say, man, I'm going to get a piece on voting and why it's a waste of time for our people. The outright mental manipulation, and every 4 years, people get excited going to vote. I was talking about that earlier. Was that last night? Yeah, I get how a lot of our people look at voting and, how they attach a certain value to it. I get that. But yeah, like you said, the reality is, man, it means nothing. It means absolutely nothing, man. Absolutely nothing. Especially on the presidential level, on the Senate or the congressional level, our votes are really tallied as non and void because we have, or there is in that system, not we here, there is in that system, the vote being bought. There are lobbyists, there are groups, political groups who buy the vote, and they buy the vote from the American public. That's who they're taking the vote from, for real. You know what I mean? If they got the money, they can buy a vote. They can. They could not only buy a vote, but they could put in place certain bills to be bought before Congress or the Senate. They get to or have the opportunity to persuade as well as buy, the vote and laws, man. It's just, it's a fact. And that's why I said, man, if we should get out of politics. And the only way we should go back into them is only after we set a precedent and give those in politics who call themselves running politics this ultimatum, this decree, decree that politics have to be different in order for us to be involved, or we'll start our own stuff. Okay, what are some of the criteria? What is the criteria for that? Right? It would be then that politicians, be they senators or congresspersons or people, they have to be transparent. What is your bank account like? What are your assets? So that in the 2 to 4 years they're in service, we can see what they've obtained, what they've gotten as or in respect to their position as a politician. That would cut off immediately, any lobbyist groups or people of that nature buying politicians for politics to go a certain way, and I mean an in-depth transparency, where hey, they can't even hide offshore accounts. They can't hide investments that politicians aren't even supposed to be investing in the stock market and stuff like they do. It's a contradiction, it's a contradiction, man. You know what I'm saying? It's corrupt. But hey, man, that would be the way, get out of politics, get out of politics, and yeah, let our people know it's a waste of time. Only time we should be a part of that is if that thing is a level playing field. If not, it's a waste of our time. We don't get nothing from it. We do not benefit from voting. Again, I ask the question to anybody: show me the benefit of the black voting bloc benefiting from something in politics or putting somebody in a seat in the Congress or the Senate. Prove it. Prove where it has paid off for the black community, or for any community for that matter, because you do have other communities. You have poor white people just like you got poor black people. You got poor struggling people, white people, and other races, Mexicans, Latino, whatever, Asians, just like you have black. All right. Where is the benefit of their vote? Well, how have they benefited? You have to have big money, man, to get things done or to see or reap a benefit from politics. Period. Yeah, that's the truth, man. It's a manipulation. It's a scheme. It's grifting, man. It's grifting. That's it. And he's selling us a worthless product, man. We don't benefit from this stuff at all. All right, you going to say, wait a minute, where's that coming from? Because that's a continue. It's about my family. Okay, and I remember that you continue. Gore won the popular vote in 2000. I recall that, but Bush won though. Bush won the electoral, and see, in Gore, he feigted ignorance, like he didn't know how that works. Them politicians know how that works, especially in the presidential election. Hillary Clinton also won the popular vote. That's the vote of the people. Okay, but that means jack, and that's your point. It means nothing. The people's vote means absolutely nothing. It can't mean anything if there's another vote that we have nothing to do with that seats the president, and not our vote. Whole lot of noise. What you burning? Y'all excuse that noise right there. Yeah, man. So I hear you loud and clear. Yeah, in 2016, Hillary won the popular vote, yet Trump won the electoral vote. And that's a scam, man. I have to agree. That's an out and out scam. You say you remember that incident with Cheney? That was wild. Yeah, man. Oh, Dick Cheney shot his buddy, man. Shot his buddy. Then at point blank range. That wasn't intentional. If that wasn't done with the knowledge that I can't go to jail, I don't know what he is, man. In fact, I can't go to jail. I ain't worried about it. Man, that's crazy. B60 said, man, the rules are it. Ain't no rules except for us. That's the truth. The laws only apply to us, and those laws are in place to keep us in place. Those laws aren't there to protect us. Nah. Not even, man. You know? Appreciate that, B60. Tell the truth, man. Shame the devil. Raymond said, man, if we did get out of politics, that would make a big statement. They'd become uneasy because our actions would be saying, we see y'all. And let me add to that, we ain't down with this BS, you know? But imagine that, man. Well, two things, people. Imagine us as a people, one accord, saying, all right, you know what? We're done with this. We're done with this. You know, we're not participating in this no more. As a matter of fact, we're going to start our own stuff. We're going to do what we're supposed to do. Imagine that aspect of it, man. And then, like you were saying, imagine their reaction. They would try to bring down the whole house on us, man. For real. For real. I can see them even trying to force. Now they want to force us to vote. You know what I mean? Well, the whole time they've been trying to deny the vote. You know, you can see the reverse taking place. Can you imagine that, man? That's to get down with these people, man. Yeah, we should back up. Imagine what that would do for us, man. Yeah, we should back up. You say, yeah, man, we had a Republican, Democrat now. Now we good. We good. And then, you know, and tell them, yeah, and you can't say we're not a part of this country because we're still here. We still spend our dollars, you know. We're just not participating with that system. That system, you know, in fact, we're going to start our own get down. And they got to let them in. They got to let us in, you know. All you got to do is set the groundwork, put it in place like it's supposed to be, a political party. You got the independents, you got the Green Party, you got a lot of other parties, you know, that don't get recognition. But imagine us starting our own voting block, our own political party. Man, we'll get reparations quick. They won't just give us the 40 acres of the mule. They give us money too. Like, come on back, y'all. Hold on. You know, I can see that, man. Yeah, that would be wild, man. That would be us telling the dang truth too. We see y'all. All right, Poke, I see you. I see you. Poke Mitchell Podcast TV, man. Salute, bro. Peace and blessings to you and the family. I take it that your day, man, has been to your satisfaction. If not, the day ain't over yet. Still time. You know, make it everything you want it to be, bro. Poke said, man, I'm working Big Bub, but I'm tuned in to the best live at UTG. Focus on the focus. And to my kings and queens in the RGC, stay in it to win it. Yeah, that's a part of this message, y'all. Always has been, and it will continue to be. We in it to win it, man. This is how we got to start looking at stuff, man. We have to actually put in this work. We got to put in this. We got so much work to do. Damn. So much work to do. Appreciate you, Pope. Whole lot of work, man. Yeah, but going through the news today, that's what I saw. You know, these people, and then they got up there. This guy, man, John Kennedy, Republican for Louisiana, got up there and said, yeah, well, if, and talking about the bombing of the school full of children, right, in Iran, say, well, if America did that, that was a grave mistake. You know, that was a mistake. United States, you know, we're not known for that. That's Russia. Russia does that, right? And he's saying that. I'm like, man, I don't believe this fool fixing his mouth. This is today. Today he said it. I said, I don't believe he fixes his mouth to say this. He said, and we're not known for that. Russia's known for that. That's what Russia does. So I'm waiting. Are you going to say Israel does it too? Never said Israel. Never said Netanyahu, the regime, But the administration of Benjamin Netanyahu is known for killing children. They bomb children as well. Those are facts. That's not an allegation. They bomb hospitals. They bomb press. Those who go in to help, feed those who are starving, literally starving. They don't give a dang. He did not even mention that, right? And I'm looking at, he said, yeah, only Russia does that. And I said, wow. He said, America doesn't do that. And I said, wow. And immediately it came to my mind. I said, yes, they do. Yes, they do. In fact, they just did it, So you're trying to escape, get around that one. No, you did that one. You can go back to Afghanistan, the Afghanistan war. They bombed children. Children were bombed. Pakistan, going at the so-called terrorists or the Taliban who was given access or were allowed to come into Pakistan. They went over there and bombed Pakistan to get to these guys, these so-called terrorists. I can go on and on to break it down, man. When they started the Iraq war, man, in 2003 through 2011, they were killing children. And they called it collateral damage. And another phrase they use, tragic mistakes. So I'm listening to John Kennedy today, Republican in Louisiana, say, oh, it was a mistake. So these are phrases and words they use to excuse, the murder of children. In times of war, they say, collateral damage. And I couldn't believe that the dude fixed his mouth to say that. But these are speaking points. This is what they say. This is what they say. They say this, oh, a mistake, or collateral damage. And now here you are professing to have the best intelligence apparatus in the world, which is also a lie, that could not or were not competent enough to realize that they needed to update their intelligence, their information on the facilities or the places they wanted to bomb. Had they done that, they would have seen that that school was not a part of those military facilities or barracks. A wall had been built to separate them. The wall was painted blue, light blue. Light blue, if these are the colors the United Nations Armed Forces use when they go into other countries, to, stop wars or whatnot. Hold on, y'all. Yes. Oh my God. You crazy. Huh? Okay. Excuse me, y'all. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so United Nations, they wear light blue, sky blue colors on their helmets and stuff. You know what I mean? And their vehicles are painted white, They bombed the place because that's what they wanted to do. Again, it's the same mindset, though, when it comes to that type of situation or those type of conflicts. It's done to inflame, upset the people. But the hope is to upset them in a way or manner to where they'll turn against the government that's being bombed rather than those who bomb that government or the people. You know what I'm saying? That's just what they do. That's how they do it. And I'll tell you, they got balls. They'll tell a lie in a minute. They will create a narrative in a minute. That propaganda machine, man, is so active. It is so active, man. And they got okay, and then they got, man, this stuff is crazy that's going on, y'all. This is some crazy stuff that is actually taking place. And I'm telling you, man, I think that's more crazy or that's more dangerous and detrimental for us is the fact that most of our people are not aware of what's happening, or they can't relate to what is happening to their lives, what's going on in their lives every day. All this stuff is a part of a system, and it's not fragmented, man. It's really not. It's just one whole thing that, you know, is in motion. You know, it's in motion. These people, man, they told another lie today. Let me tell you, the lies just keep coming, man. And this one concerns Israel. Ted Cruz, he gets in front of, and I think I mentioned this last night. If not, you know, I'll reiterate it. Ted Cruz mentioned, he's talking to Tucker Carlson, right? And he's telling him that it is a Christian responsibility to support Israel. And to Tucker's credit, I don't really like him either, but you know, sometimes he goes on, you know, he's on top of some good stuff, you know. But anyway, so Tucker says to him, wait a minute, man, are you talking about the Israel that today, the 1948 till the day Israel? Or are you talking about the Israel from biblical times? You know, he said, oh yeah, I'm talking about Israel today. It is our obligation to support Israel. The Bible says something about honoring or supporting Israel as one would want to be honored or supported, something like that, right? I forget the main quote. But in any respect, Tucker was like for real, man, this is really what you think, man? That ain't what that says, and it don't apply to this, you know. But you couldn't tell Ted Cruz that, no more than you could tell the Huckabee guy, who is the ambassador to Israel. You know, you can't tell him that. So the reason being, though, is that Christians are no longer really where they're different sects now. Christians used to be, you know, Christians, evangelical, you know, them type of Christians. Now there's such a thing as Christian Zionists. Hey, who'd have thunk it? All right, Christian Zionists. And they got their teachings from this guy named Scofield. He wrote a book in, I think, 1909, talking about, I think I wrote it down. It's called the Scofield Bible, right? But it's not even a Bible. What he did is took notes and tried to, no, he didn't try. He interpreted for Christians in that time, in the early 1900s, you know, early 20th century, how to interpret scripture concerning or revolving around Israel. 1909, he did this. And I don't know how it got hold or took hold, but Christians, some of our people as well, Black Christians, I don't know if they identify being Christian Zionists, but I've heard the term before in you know, in Black churches, Christian Zionists. You know, I've heard that before. You know, they support Israel because they have been taught to interpret the Bible in a way that supports or advocates support for the Israel we see today, not the Israel of the old, of, you know, ancient times. That's not even the location most people would tell them, you know, but this is the mindset now, you know. So even evangelicals are thinking like that. You know what I mean? They're thinking in terms of Zionism. So that's, you know, where we see all this support for Israel in the Christian in the church. You know, another person. Well, hold on. There are so many politicians who are Christian Zionists, but not only that, there are so many military personnel, higher ups, who are Christian Zionists. You know, and this is why we're hearing all this talk about this war being the war to set off Armageddon, in the hopes that, you know, Trump is pushing this war. You know, it's his religious obligation or duty to push this war to start Armageddon, so that Jesus can come back and do what he's supposed to do in the last days, or in terms of the Armageddon, to put Israel in its rightful place and all this stuff. Hey man, it's a lot going on, y'all. And it ain't scary, but it's alarming. It's alarming. We're dealing with people who look at religion now as a real cult, you know. And once that starts to happen, once people start to look at things like that, they will start to do things that will affect and harm, that will hurt other people in the name of the religion or in the name of Christ. You know, this is one of the dangers, man. It's going on. It's actually, the shit is crazy. It is crazy. But you know, I'm telling you, we so stuck on stupid. And I'm gonna say it like that. Our people are so stuck on stupid, we don't see the bigger picture. And one of the reasons why we're stuck on stupid, again, the system is not fragmented. It's all one thing. We have so many distractions put before us that we can't see the forest for the trees, man. We can't even make up our own minds. We can't, our decisions are not our decisions in terms of how we go about our lives every day. Every day, man, most of the decisions we make, this goes for all of us, are determined by those who are in power. It's a system in place that we follow. If we wanted to do something contrary to what we've been doing, especially those who say that we are responsible, that we are accountable, that hey man, we can't. You know, and this is, I'm telling you, this is alarming. The more I come to understand stuff, is the more I start to see, hey man, we in a bad way. They got this thing on lock. They got it on lock, man. So, you know, yeah, these rules are just for us, to keep us in place. To keep us in place. So I understand your sentiment all too well, Alonzo. And by the way, brother, peace and blessings to you. Good to see you up in this get down, man. And like I say, right back to you, peace and blessings to you and your family, you know. But your sentiments, I understand fully. I'm the same way. Can't stand them. Can't stand them. And yes, America, the military have done that to children. To children. In fact, they've done it here on their own soil. You know, when to white children, white students, you know, who protested, Vietnam War, for instance, Kent State. They shot a gang of white kids, U.S. military, the government. So that, the statement is just an out and out lie, man, but again, this is what they do. They know how to spin narratives. They know how to tell lies, and they have a propaganda machine that props this system up, man. Keeps it going. Very evil. Oh, yes. But see, look. So, Alonzo, I appreciate you dropping that. Alonzo said, today I heard America finally admitted that 147 are injured. That's American soldiers in this conflict with Iran. And they are lying. I heard over 600 have been killed. So I was saying this a week ago when the thing first started, and I tried to go back and find it, right? It was gone. No BS, man. I said this a week ago, y'all. I said, man, they're lying. It's not 6. It's over 600, but they don't want to say this because then they're admitting that they made a mistake. That would be an understatement. That they stepped in a pile of dookie, man. That it wasn't what Israel told them it was going to be, by helping them to do this, So yeah, today I saw, like you did, Alonzo, they're saying, over 140 something military personnel have been seriously wounded. But they kept the number in terms of demises, those who no longer here, very low. And I said, okay, I'm waiting to see if they're going to tell the truth, and then, it dawned on me, like, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So the word is getting out that over 600 of those guys and girls are no longer with us. America, CENTCOM will not verify it or validate it. But since today, they haven't denied it either. You know what I mean? So it's gonna come out. It always does. It always does. And yeah, I know you're talking about, bro. And so this is why you see the hesitancy of the United States putting boots on the ground. You know, so I imagine they're on the phone with Bibi Netanyahu wherever he is, because he's not in Israel, right? You know, he got a, you know, he has a target on his head, not his back, but his head. They supposed to have took his brother out, you know, a couple of days ago. But anyway, he's somewhere flying in the air, right? But anyway, I can imagine them telling Bibi Netanyahu, hey man, damn man, you lied, man. Damn man, come on, man. You know, but again, it shocks me that they would even trust him. Being that they know Israel will commit or attempt to present false flags, you know what I mean, to get America involved in something. And it's only factual. It's a fact that they've done it. Again, most of us know the USS, forget the name of the ship, was it Roosevelt? They bombed the ship, Israel did, and tried to say that the Arabs did it. Come to find out, Israel did that. Attacked the U.S. naval ship, man, and killed Navy sailors, you know? And so when I went and read it today, I thought to myself, I said, well, something's wrong with American politicians, or with the American structure in terms of defending the land. You know, something is wrong, because if you know that your so-called closest ally done this to you, how is it even possible that you could still be, or you guys are still allies and super close? You know, that's like me coming to one of you guys' home and doing something that would affect you just deeply. You know what I mean? I done took something from you, but would turn around and allow me back in your home and say, "This my bro," you know. This is my closest ally. I trust him. Something's wrong, y'all. You know, something is absolutely wrong with what's going on with this government, man. And it ain't just Trump. That's another thing, man, that we get misled on. You know, that the narrative tries to push out there. Oh, it's just Trump. It's just Trump. It's just Trump. It's all of them, man. Every single one of them. From the time that issue happened, I wish somebody would look that up for me. They called it a false flag. U.S. Navy ship gets bombed, right? And sailors die. Come to find out, Israel done it just to try to manipulate the United States to help them go to war. You know, Bibi Netanyahu has said, hey, man, I've been trying to get this done for over 40 years. He's been trying, and then you got to understand and take into account maybe his predecessors as well, been trying to manipulate this government to help them fight Iran for more than 60, 70 years. No telling how long, man. But yeah, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. We have to wake up. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that, Alonzo. I agree with you. Every time they open their mouth, they're telling a lie to the people. Tucker been getting at them. They want him not to. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you another one now. I just got on this one a couple of days ago, but what's the girl name? Candace Owens. You know, I'm gonna be just straight up. I can't stand Candace Owens for a lot of reasons. But recall, Candace Owens, before Nicki Minaj, was Trump's number one fan, right? 2004, she was the base for MAGA. She helped campaign for Trump. You know what I mean? She loved Trump. Now, all of a sudden, she's speaking against the Trump administration as well as Israel. She really been on their necks, to the point where she's busting them out. She's talking. She then went and said, hey, if any of you are in the U.S. military, you need to hurry up and get out of there. you know, get out of the military, resign, you know, use your constitutional rights, your conscientious objection rule or law, and get out of there, because it ain't going to end well. They're using you to be fodder, or, you know, thrown into a meat grinder for Israel. She went all in, right? Real spit. This last couple of days, she been on them. Come to find out, though, yesterday, they're after her. They want her. They first, it said, they need to look in, or she should be investigated and arrested for treason. Now, when that type of talk starts, hey, man, it's just a matter of time. And again, I have no affinity for Candace Owens. She's been sold to people out. You know, part of his being here, or this just the fact that they're even doing what they're doing has a lot to do with her. She helped push this. Then when she got disgruntled or became upset about something that didn't go her way, she decided to flip sides. And I say, we don't want you. We don't need you. You know, that would be double for the Hodge twins or anybody else. You know, no, we don't need you. You picked, you chose, that's where you be, that's where you stay. But they're on her neck. She ignited a firestorm, and I think she's really scared now. I really do. I think same with Tucker will be with her. They're looking for her, you know, thorn in their side. Quinn and Zinga said, man, they always try to use religion to control the situation. That's crazy. It still continues to happen today. I was saying this last week about religion. It is, in a lot of respects, you know, and no disrespect, and I say this respectfully, a control mechanism. You know, that's just my take on it. You know, a lot don't agree with me, may not agree with me, and that's fine. You know, that's fine. You know, but my opinion of that religion, I don't care what religion, what tenet you follow, what faith. It's all for matter of control. It's all to control. You know, that's just it. You know, so you know, it is continuing, and it's gonna get worse. I'll bring that up in a minute, man. Cold thought I just had. Lonzo says, man, the Bible is not talking about the 1948 country. The Bible is talking about the bloodline related to the Messiah. And when you say Messiah, I know exactly, you know, I'm with you on that. We're talking about those with the God gene. You know, that's the simplest way I can put it without complicating it, because I would confuse my dang self. Listen, hey, man, that's what he's talking about. He's not talking about some shit that happened in present time, you know, in the last 100 years. No, you know, we're not talking about that one. Nah. You know, we're talking about those who are related to the Messiah, and those would be those who have the God gene. I don't think everybody got the God gene, you know, but hey, yeah, that is shit. Lonzo going to say, man, I was in the Army, bub, airborne infantry, Panama, Noriega. Dang. While you was over there, man, you know, respectfully, I'm clowning, helping them to oust Noriega. You know, I'm talking about he was selling drugs. He was a drug. He was the first to fall under this thing they just got Maduro under, and others, you know, in South America. Noriega was the very first. Lied on that man, put him in federal prison, said he was selling drugs. They did it because he was telling them their contract, the contract they had on the Panama Canal, would be up very soon. And when it was up, they would not have access to it anymore. Hey, that was enough for them to say, we to go get him. Go get him. They sent the brother, not Schwarzkopf, the brother, I forget his name, damn it. Anyway, they went in there and got that dude, man, and brought him back the same way they did this guy, Maduro, on a plane. Brought him right to New York, man, put him in federal prison, man, put him in prison for about 20 years, you know. And I think he died in prison, or he died right, they let him out so he can die, you know. Yeah, man. Hey, man, there's some cold stuff, y'all. There's some cold stuff taking place that's going on, man. And a lot of us are not the wiser. I would have never known, Alonzo, that you were a part of that, man. But, that being the case, man, there's a lot that you know what I mean? There's a lot that you understand, man, that's just that are gems. All right. Yeah. Real spit, Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. What's that brother name? He helped also take down Saddam Hussein in Iraq, man. I hate when this happens to me, man. My mind is going 90 going north right now. But it'll come up. That brother's name will come up too. But yeah, man, I would have never known that, man. All right, bro. You say, man, that they do that to children for a fact. Raymond Cole said, man, they bombed the MOVE group in Philly. And remember Waco, Texas. Yeah, ATF, DEA, FBI, they killed all them people up in Waco. Their excuse for that was they were a cult, and they were, man, come on. They were killing them after they were trying to crawl out of a burning building. They just kept shooting them. Crazy. The Philly thing, the MOVE situation in Philly, we discussed that. They dropped a whole bomb on an apartment complex, and this bomb incinerated the whole damn block. Another situation where the rumor, or it is alleged, people were trying to come out of them burning buildings and they were shooting them. There was a black mayor at the time. Man, this stuff is crazy that's going on, y'all. Okay, thanks, Alonzo. The 1967 incident regarding the Liberty. The ship was the Liberty. And this is where the term, or I think, well, it got really publicized, the term false flag comes from. Israel done that. And so again, I for the life of me, I can't comprehend or begin to even understand as much as understand why they would be buddy with a country that did that to your citizens, your military, to your country. Some ain't right. Some ain't right, man. Straight up. B60 said, man, Trump said, yeah, I got you on that one. I'm going to start using that. Yeah, Trump said he was told by his son-in-law that Iran was going to strike, not his generals, not top intelligence, just crazy. And his son-in-law would be Kushner, the guy that married his daughter. I think it's Kushner. Yeah, Kushner. And he's a stumped down Zionist. Stumped down. I think he got, he's all the way in with the Netanyahu administration. I think he's a spy for them. So everything, that they talk about in the halls of power or Mar-a-Lago, anywhere, he is privy to every bit of it. And he takes it back and he tells them. Ain't no doubt. The last thing they want is to get black people upset, though, for real. We too quick, man. We quick call a duck, a strike, and a spade, a spade. It's all of them. They just caught them false flagging again and killed them. Wait, what are you talking about? They just caught them false flagging again and killed them. I'm behind because I know I think they were attempting to use this ship off the coast of California laden with drones, Shahed drones, because they kept showing the picture of Shahed drones, right? Preparing to strike somewhere in California with these drones. Like, come on, man. What? And I'm thinking, okay, man, immediately my mind was like, that's a false flag, man. So Netanyahu and them about to commit an act that would be considered a false flag if they're discovered, or if they don't let them get away with it. Anything that happened at this point, from this point, to me, would be considered a false flag. I don't care what nobody say. I don't give a dang about what nobody say. Straight up, man. Alonzo, enlighten me on that. You said they just caught them false flagging again and took them out. I need to know what the man, bro, please lace me. Candace really been going hard on them. Yeah, Candace may be in danger though. Her and Tucker may be in danger. They both have huge followings, but I think Candace more so than Tucker, because Tucker, he hasn't disowned or discredited MAGA. He still supports Trump. I just watched an interview with him today where he said, hey man, in the last week, he just, 3 times went and talked to Trump about this thing in Iran. So he's still cool. He's still cool. It's Candace who I think is more worried than anybody, man, because she don't got that in. You know what I mean? She don't have that like that. They talking about knocking her off too. Yeah, man, I wouldn't doubt it at all, Alonzo. Hey, but see, I'm gonna tell you something. The regret started for a lot of people, and I think it started before this thing with ICE and Border Patrol, Department of Homeland Security and this immigration issue. I think this thing started, man, when Trump started tripping about taxes and shit. Well, first he told the lie he was going to break off people. Hey, I got money, we going to and he reneged on that. Then he got to tripping about what he can do and can't do. And, he's the president, and something about the Supreme Court got his back. That's his Supreme Court. That's when I think people started realizing that, oh, we made a mistake. But again, I think that acknowledgement that the wrong guy is in office, it's misguided, it's misdirected. Because again, man, we are the people who vote, because I don't vote. The people who voted did not vote to actually put him in power. You know what I mean? Yes, but still the regret is there. It has to be, to think that, damn, man, I voted for this dude. He campaigned on not going to war. Since he's been in office, he didn't, over 8 incidents with 8 different countries, not counting Iran, yeah, man, dropping bombs, doing everything he said he wouldn't do. People are regretting this now. Yeah, I get it. But hey, man, that's too late. Unless these same people, these millions and millions of people who saying they're disgruntled, who are in fear that he's about to destroy the world, unless they're writing their congressman and or senator and saying, we demand that he be brought up on charges, impeached, or shut down, stopped. We demand that you guys take from him the War Powers Act and do what needs to be done to stop him. If not, we're going to get rid of you. If they're not doing that, man, phooey, man, it's just, more the same, even from the people. At some point, even the people have to take different measures, different approaches, to doing things, to getting shit done. We cannot continue to do the same thing we've been doing, hoping or expecting a different outcome. What is that called, y'all? That's insanity. Come on, man. Unless they are willing to just turn this thing on its head, and do what needs to be done, then it's going to remain what it is, And again, we are being, as a people, man, we are being told what to do. A lot of us will be quick to say, no, and yeah, shit, I run me. Nah, man. Look at how the system works. Look at how the system works. Open your eyes. Most of everything we do because this is the structure that's been placed before us that we follow. It's not because we want to do this. You know what I mean? It's just not, But yeah, man, a lot of people are regretting their vote. That's true. That's so true. And like you, Alonzo, I'm more spiritual than I ever been religious. You know what I mean? And I've been this way since I remember the date, man, since 1986. you know, and it's taken me a long time to connect with the spiritual side of me, man. But here I am now, you know, I'm cool with that, you know. Come a long way, man. Come a long way, baby. That's that Virginia Slims commercial back in the day when they used to do cigarette commercials, you know. And these people are so phony, man. They won't do cigarette commercials, but you see cigarette advertisement, man, in everything, on everything except television. Man, it's hypocrites, man. Yep, hypocrites. Colin Powell. I knew somebody. Thanks, B60. Yeah, that sellout. Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice. Man, we can go on and on to the break of dawn, man. It's a whole lot of them, man. And they are, I'm going to tell you who they're aligned with. They're aligned with them people to say, we can't never let these blacks get power because we're going to be in a whole lot of trouble. So, you know, come on, man. Colin Powell. Wow. All right. Thanks, Salinas Valley State PR. I was there, man. Ooh-wee. I was there. Yeah, man. Anyway, appreciate you, bro. Yeah, Powell. And good to see you back. I recall the name. I recall the username anyway. All love, man. Appreciate you. No, Queen is English. She said, are you talking about Colonel James B. Hickney? No, it was Colin Powell, though. See, Alonzo, we on the same wavelength. On the same wavelength. Wavelength, whatever. You know, we are aligned in our thoughts right now. I agree wholeheartedly about 9/11, about 9/11. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because back then, Saddam was a bigger threat than Iran. You know, Iran, though, you know, in its own way, it was actually helping the Zionist regime against Iraq, because you know they were you know, just came out of a war and all this stuff. They didn't get along, you know. They would, you know, shoot at each other quite often. So yeah, Saddam was the number one threat, and like Gaddafi, he was thinking in terms of switching up, getting rid of the petrodollar, man, using gold, you know, getting them out of the region, you know. Telling other neighbor states in the Middle East, man, don't allow them to put bases here, You know, he had a hatred for the Zionist regime, you know. You never lie, man. And they did that to do that. A false flag, man. They did that. And immediately the propaganda, the narrative, man, was out there. You know, Osama bin Laden, that whole crew, but they based in Iraq and doodle and wham, you know. Come on, man. Yeah, it's just a matter of putting the pieces together. Yeah, Trump said. Man, Lonzo say, man, they caught them trying to do something in Lebanon. I think they were going to blame Iran. Yeah, was that the sneak attack they attempted not last night, I think the night before, and Hezbollah caught them. They were coming in real low and quiet in them Black Hawks, and they ambushed their ass. I think that's what you're talking about. I'm not sure. Yeah, they were up to no good. They were up to no good, man. Trump is a man on death row with access to the button. Yeah. So you know, here's the thing I think about quite often when we're talking about Trump, man. It's the fact that in 2 years and some change, if the world lasts this long, he is supposedly or is supposed to leave office, right? I was telling my wife this maybe a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. That ain't finna happen. The way shit is going, the way he's able to do shit and get away with it, the way other politicians are just going along, he's going to figure out something. He's not leaving. He's not leaving. I just don't see it unless he croaks or they find somebody, or it's agreed upon that somebody does exactly how he was doing. Coming, that'd be the only way. So it'll be as if he never left anyway. You know what I mean? It won't be JD Vance, no doubt about that. It's going to be somebody we're probably not even familiar with just yet. But I don't see him, even if they attempted to impeach him, not just impeach him, but hold him on charges, bring him up on charges. Man, this thing will implode. Because again, you got people in the military who believe that he is here to bring about Armageddon. Not just in the military, you got people, citizens in the country who think that. All he has to do again is say, go get him. And this thing will go up in flames, man. Dangerous guy, man. Very, very dangerous individual. This country, man, is in the worst shape, man, it has ever been in. And in fact, it, really, there's no difference. It's just we're in different times. It's all pretty much the same, man. But I think what makes this worse, this era worse, is the technology and those individuals who control technology and who are just rabid about bringing this technology into effect, putting it in society. That's what makes this thing, really, really something to be wary of. They're trying to change the world as we speak, man. They're trying to alter the world, but the alteration is for their benefit. It's not for the average citizen. I don't care if you're black, white, brown, yellow, or red. They're altering the system to serve them completely, to take away all the front, all that front stuff, all the facades, and say straight up, this our shit. It's our way. Ain't no more highway. You ain't going nowhere. No matter where you go, there we are. That's what this thing is coming to, man. It's going down. I think it's going down, man. Even to the point where you even have European countries who are trying to find a way out of this situation. They want to separate themselves, away from this mess that they see about to occur. Spain, man, is about to catch hell because they flat out told the administration no. Sweden, Norway, and one more told Bibi Netanyahu, you can't fly your plane through our airspace over it, or none of that. In fact, if you land anywhere in these three countries, we're going to come and arrest you for war crimes. They're in trouble. That means they're in the crosshairs now. You got China now coming into this thing, man. They trying to be subtle. China's so subtle. They're so calm and deliberate about how they get down, man. You don't really know what's happening, man. But no doubt they're monitoring this, and if things continue to escalate, this thing is going to get out of hand. But to the satisfaction of a lot of people who want it to, they want this. They want this. They want to put us in this trick bag, y'all. Now, that being said, we have the duty, the obligation, man, to be mindful of what's happening around us, what's really going on. We got to separate the BS, man, from the real. You separate the wheat from the chaff, what they call it. You got to, hey, man, we got to get through it, man, so we understand what's really happening, so that we can not only understand, but be prepared. Alonzo, I bet you $1 to a donut, you can tell us about preparation better than anybody. And I'm willing to wager you would say that, hey, man, now is the time for us to really start focusing and preparing. Preparation, man, is something serious. And if we ain't prepared when the shit it's actually already going down. We don't, we're going to be in a world of hurt, man. We're going to be in a world of hurt. And on that note, you guys, I'm going to cut it loose. I'm starving like Marvin. Don't want to be begging like Reagan. So I'm going to go put some in my stomach, man. But before I go, I just want everybody to know, man, hey, man, ain't nothing but love and respect, man, on this Get Down. We come here to do this, man, because we find solace and unity in what we do. A lot of respect for the brothers and sisters who didn't come in tonight. Still peace and love, man. Blessings to you and yours. Hey, may everything be everything, man, with you and your families, all right? Tomorrow is another day, man. If we're allowed, if the ancestors determine it is for us to stand 10 toes in this Get Down or that Get Down, go for it, man. Seize the day. Make it everything you want it to be, you know? That's how that should be addressed. And that being said, man, love yourselves, you know, so that you can love each other. Take care of yourselves, man, to the utmost so that you can be in a position to take care of those who may need your support and love, you know? Hey, you are, you have been, and you will be under the groove, all right? Power is in the people. Be one, you guys. Black first. All love.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hearst, and writing future history. From the Apollo to the Borough to the Sphere, where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transformed suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. It's in the sergeant, this is once a less than half this hats and Mercedes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive watch of the applause for bones. Need your data, tropes, and constant any problem when the wet just wanna build the season. Bait, now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the cons. Plead the ruckus off the main. Make it honor fans. Turn the neck and love the durn. Suffer like the kesha. You went from the preaching up on side as each alone. Bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vets. Someone the very inch on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the bound in. If wait something for the marker, make the kitchen full the trumpets on the boards to the singer land is carried open slowly. Keep us looking on my mother, break it, and resi for the he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.